You're listening to the Known Legacy Podcast, brought to you by Known Legacy Ministries. For more information, go to knownlegacy.org. Now here's your hosts, Bill and Travis.
Travis, I love your banter. I love who you are.
I can say, honestly, I've never been complimented for my banter before.
I love it. I love everything about you.
Aw, I kind of knew that. Hey, welcome to Known Legacy, you guys. I'm so happy you're here today.
It is February.
It is.
It's a love month.
Aw. Hey, we're at Kyle's house, and you may hear some construction in the background, and just let it go. Man, it's a beautiful day.
Because it's 80 degrees out. Why would we do this inside? It's
I
so
agree.
nice.
I
It's
agree.
not 105.
And
It's the sweet spot.
we have our guest is in person. We'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, we will.
We'll get to that in a
Super
minute.
excited.
info@knownlegacy.org. You can always email us. And if you want to, today's Bill's Day. So, just put, hey, Bill. That'd be fantastic. You can follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Rumble, as well as your favorite podcast place. And, man, we're just so happy that you're here. So
Yes, we are so glad you guys decided to join us today. Thank you so much. You can check us out more at all those places. And we are so excited to have our guest on today. But first,
I got a
we have
question.
what is that question you had?
So,
you said it earlier.
So I don't know if you guys have been watching this Squid Game. You guys familiar with the Netflix?
Yes.
I am,
Okay.
unfortunately.
It is dark. But the kind of underlying tone is all of these kid games,
Yeah.
you
yeah.
know, and they're playing these games for death, right?
Correct.
And I wanted to know from you, when you were a kid, what was your favorite game playing up?
So
Playing up? What
I
was
will
your favorite
say
game
also
playing up?
there is quite a connection because when we were kids, we would almost kill each other. So with these games, so I would say that
Yard darts?
Yarts were amazing. Who thinks of these things? I'm going to take a giant steel dart and shoot it because we just throw it in the air, or you would try to hit the other person.
Yeah.
We try to get as close. It's just. What were we thinking?
Some redneck in the South came up with a game, and they said, let's market it.
Hey, I got me a great idea.
So seriously, though, what was your favorite game growing up?
Honestly, one of the favorites me and my brother would play is Monopoly.
And you're still talking.
We're
to
still
him?
talking. Well, we would do this thing where, and maybe you did too, but when you would go to free parking, we would always put money in free parking, like $500
Right.
or whatever, and whatever we would pay luxury tax, we would put that in there. So when you hit free parking, it was like bonus time. But it was so mad because for some reason my brother would always hit it. I feel like he rolled the dice purposefully wrong. He weighted those dice.
He weighted them.
On those, but no.
Yeah.
So I actually really enjoyed that, and so we do that all the time. Yeah, play
Excellent.
for hours.
Excellent.
What about you?
Man, if it was a board game, probably Stratega with my dad. I love playing Stratega.
I don't think I've ever played Stratega. What's that all
Stratega was
about?
awesome.
It's like okay. So the game Risk is
Yeah,
like chess.
yeah, we used to play Risk too.
Yeah, chess. Stratega is like checkers.
Okay,
you
so a
know?
little bit easier.
Lots easier, you know. And so we played that game. But man, if it was outdoors, dude, we would play. We play flashlight tag.
That was fun.
In the evenings.
Purple. We called it purple.
Purple.
Yeah, I don't know why we called it purple, but it was basically you'd lay on the ground and you try to hide, and people could and you wouldn't use
Ghost in the
flashlights.
Graveyard is what we called it.
Okay, same thing. Yeah, purple. But so you couldn't use a flashlight, but they would literally run on you. And
Yeah.
I really feel like some people would run on you on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
And act like you weren't there. Kind of
Boys
thing.
being boys.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kyle, how about you? What's your favorite?
Is my mic on? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yes,
I hear
we
you.
can.
Great.
So I'm going to date myself a little bit, but
You
What?
saying I'm going to date myself? Date yourself.
Marbles and cans.
basically, I
Hoop
don't
and
remember.
stick.
I don't remember what it was called, but Pong came out
Pong.
on the TV,
Pong.
and then there was this game, and it was like the Red Baron or something. But one side had 2 planes, I think,
Yes.
and the other had 3.
Yes. I know that
and,
game.
and I don't remember, but it was a whole new universe for us as kids.
Yeah.
On the
That was-
computer?
Yeah, on the TV.
I was surprised. I thought you were going to say we used to work in the factory as we were a kid. I don't know, but I mean, okay.
Chase the mouse around the factory machinery.
What in the world?
Don't lose a hand.
Okay. Well, our guest,
There you go.
also, we'd like to hear from her. Her name is Diana Abbott, and she is the founder of Gem Preschool at Grace Church. We're so glad to have you here.
I'm so happy to be here today, guys.
We are so. What was your game as a kid?
My game as a kid, we used to play, we called it Chase, and it was a combination of hide and seek and tag. And
Oh,
it was so
gosh.
fun. Yeah.
So you didn't need a board game for
No,
that. You
no.
just
No.
would.
We would actually play outside, unlike the
Yes.
current
No,
generation.
we'd
of
drink from the
children.
water hose. We'd play
Exactly,
outside. We'd go in
exactly.
for popsicles. That's it, and that was pretty much it.
And
We're fine. We used to chew on lead-based paint and we liked it. Good
I love
gracious.
it.
Well, we're glad to have you on today. We've been wanting to have you on for a while. And so share a little bit about your story, because I know you started GEM over 20 years ago
Yeah.
with an idea. And there's a couple reasons why I wanted you on. But first, share how you started it, because
Okay.
that's a big thing in itself to go, I'm going to start an entire preschool, and it's an accredited preschool.
Correct. Mhm.
And so, I mean, a lot of people try to fight to get into it. I mean, there's always
Right.
a line to get into this thing. And then when people in Allen and Lucas know that they've come from GEM, they're like, oh, okay, well, come on in, kind of thing. I mean, they
Right.
love.
Right.
So share a little bit about that, because I know it didn't start like that.
No.
So share a little bit about your story.
Well, I've been in early education for about 47 years, believe it or not.
Wow.
And I was perfectly content to teach. I love teaching, and I taught
Yeah.
2-year-olds through kindergarten, and my heart was really just in the classroom, interacting with the kids. I just love that. And really, the pastor had approached me at one point and said the second most frequent question he was asked was, do you all have a Mother's Day Out
Your
program?
Mother's Day out.
And so I was perfectly content where I was at, and I was very uncomfortable when this conversation started because I was a little nervous about it, right?
Absolutely.
But I really felt like the Lord wasn't giving me any peace until I came to the decision of, okay, Lord, I'm going to obey you. I'm going to step out. I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And really what he told me was success is being obedient to me. He did not promise me success in numbers or in scope of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ministry,
yeah.
but he just said, Diana, you just have to obey and trust me. So
Wow.
I do have trust issues. So it was a big jump. It was a big jump.
Welcome to the club.
Yes.
Yes. But it's just been so awesome. This is our 24th year. So we're getting,
24.
we just started registering for our 25th year.
I can't believe it.
And I've been so blessed to be a part of it this whole time and just get to see God at work in so many ways.
So did you start this when you were 11?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Well
somewhere around
played,
there.
sir.
That was
Yeah.
well played.
Yeah.
Her husband's like, thank you.
41 years old when I started, which I love
Wow.
that too, because maybe some people think they're on the downside of their mission or career or
Yeah.
ministry at that point, but God was starting something brand new.
Say that again. So you started when you were 41.
41 in Jam Express, correct.
You're never
Mhm.
too old.
You're never too
That's
old.
awesome. That's awesome.
And I think he's getting me ready for something else. But
I do think so too.
But all that to say, now we get to look back on 24 years, and we've literally had thousands of kids come through the ministry.
Wow.
Been able to impact thousands of kids and families for the Lord. And I mean, we've had families that wouldn't darken the door of a church, but they felt like a preschool was really important to them. It was one of their
Yeah,
core
yeah,
values.
yeah,
They wanted that
absolutely.
for their children. And as a result of coming to GEM, it softened that entrance into a church. We've seen dads get baptized. We've seen families come back into fellowship with the Lord, sometimes at Grace, sometimes at other churches.
Yeah,
we don't
yeah, yeah.
really care which church. We just
Right.
want them walking with the Lord. We just want them having
Well,
relationship.
and it's funny you say that, because that's kind of what really what caught me, because I remember even when I was working at Grace,
Right.
and when I would hear, well, like this whole family's here because this kid came to
Right,
GEM,
right.
and all of a sudden the dad's like serving in one of the in one of the ministries, or
Right,
had served,
right.
and so that's what I love that, because I'm guessing through the 20 years you've seen such a difference
Yes.
in families. Can
Yes.
you kind of share some of the differences, good or bad, or
Right,
like, man, is there like have things like degraded? What have you seen in dads, things like that?
Yeah.
That's
I
a
mean,
lot, but I mean, try to
well,
unpack
it's a
that.
lot. But what I will say is, parents take heart. You have huge influence on your children. And one of the biggest things I see really, words matter. And I see a lot of dads, and I love that
Yeah.
one dad in particular, every day when he would drop off his son, he would say, be kind and be a leader. And I mean, if you're hearing that from your
Ooh.
dad every morning at drop off with a big grin on his
Yeah.
face, and he's kind of giving you the fist bump, what does that say to a kid? Like, I have confidence in you, and you're strong, and I know you're going to do great things. So I love that when I see those connections. One of the struggles these days is because there's so much technology. I really feel strongly about when parents drop off and pick up their kiddos, they need to carve out that 30-second time. Eye contact.
Yeah,
talk to
not on
your
your
kiddo.
phone kinda.
Correct.
Oh,
Put
okay.
that down. Talk to your kiddo. I see those kids' faces light up to see mom or dad picking up at the end of the day, or to drop off at the start. Give them that intentional focus time, and it pays off in spades. It really does.
I love it because we talked about before that we get about 40,000 hours with our kids. Now
Right,
we
right.
can get more, but
Right,
man, in
right.
that little bit, I mean, we're like Captain America when they're kids. I mean, I remember
Right.
being exhausted and walking in the door, and then literally like you could hear like the kids on the other side of the door like so excited to see you. And I unfortunately I see a lot of dads, and I was one of them, and I sometimes fight this too, that I'm on my phone.
Right.
And I'm like, I've got to put it down, because even now I've got a 16-year-old and a 19-year-old.
Right.
And it's like, I don't want to say it's too late, but if I had invested from other godly men that have said, Bill, don't be stupid.
Right.
Talk now.
Right.
I think that's kind of what we're saying is, so if you're a parent of a young kid, put the phone down right now. And you value those moments is what
Right.
I'm hearing from you.
Right, yes.
Because it does speak, not
does,
into now,
yes.
but even to when they become a kid and they're like, I'm
Right.
dropping my kid off.
Right.
Because even now, a 25-year gap.
Yeah.
You're seeing kids who are in the ministry now,
Yes.
like because it really is a ministry.
It's a ministry for sure. It's a ministry to children and families. But
Yeah.
yes, we are currently seeing former GEM students come back with their
With their
children at
kids.
GEM. Which
That's
is very
fantastic.
awesome. I mean, that's such a blessing. And
Yeah.
another thing about the legacy of GEM, I feel like we've been able to give out high school scholarships
Yeah.
to GEM alumni.
Yeah.
For about 5 years now.
That's
and,
crazy.
And it's so fun to have these young adults come back.
Yeah.
And they tell us a little bit about their journey and what God's been doing in their lives. And we had that small part in helping with that foundation. I mean, we all know, we've heard the studies, 0 to 5. Most important years, just
Yes,
in all of the brain
yes.
development, social, emotional, cognitive,
Yep.
spiritual, so foundational. So we get to have these children during that
Yeah.
time. And I mean, I'm so blessed to have a staff that is committed and they're creative and they engage with these children just like they should,
Yeah.
on the level
Yeah.
that they should to. And these kids will come back, these young adults, and they'll say to me, I remember Mrs. So-and-so,
Yeah.
and I remember this lesson. So it does matter.
So
we
good.
really are doing kingdom work with eternal value.
I love it.
So-
And I mean,
So let me ask a question. So you have a family, maybe they have 2 kids there at GEM, and they come in because you're a trusted voice into their lives, and they're like, man, something is not working in our family. What would you say to a young couple who's struggling to balance life, work, family, all of it?
Finances,
what
all
word-
that.
Yeah.
Right.
What kind of talk us through some of that advice for a young family on what it looks like to be successful?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because oftentimes people think, we're simply a preschool or just
Yeah.
a preschool, and really it's a ministry to the whole family.
Right.
I have prayed with many mothers, grandmothers, grandfathers, dads. We've had a dad just say, what do you think is the role of a dad in the family? I mean, he doesn't know. He doesn't know where to start. We might have a couple come in saying, we're struggling in our marriage. I don't obviously have all the answers or the resources. I can point them places. I can pray for them. I can say, you guys are not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
There are so many people walking this road. We were able to have a parenting class a couple of years ago
Yeah,
at
absolutely.
Grace as well. And that's something my husband and I are thinking about doing again.
Yeah.
It just provides support. You're not alone. Other people have these similar struggles.
Yeah.
Here are some resources we can line you up with, or I can point them in that
Yeah,
direction. But there's just so much more to it. I can't tell you how many people have cried in the office and we've prayed together
Yeah.
and encouraged each other. And I said, see, that's what I'm saying. It's kingdom work. It has eternal value. It matters.
Absolutely.
No,
I love that you talked about the first 6 years of your life, all the synapses that
Oh,
grow
yeah.
and things like that. And I will say this, and this isn't even part of it, but I love when how the Spirit works. I got to sit around a bunch of so in the mornings she would do kind of a leadership meeting with all of her team. And man, the way that she leads her team is solid. Like she invests in those people. So there's even things we could talk about leadership wise. And I got to get back on track. But I love your heart for that and the people. And so when you see these dads, like, what are you seeing in them over the last 20 years? So I mean, I'm guessing, I'm just gonna I don't know, but like it seems like 20 years ago, dads were like, they just seem different than now. See, and I don't know if it's better or worse. So I know that you're not the only expert in this, but I would consider you an expert on seeing these dads for 20 years. What are you seeing different in them, good and bad?
I'm going to start with a positive. I
Okay.
definitely see a positive trend in being intentional.
Nice.
And it's really fun to see that. I see that they're carving out time to come to the things at school when they can.
Yeah.
And again, that matters. A child's face lights up when their dad walks through that door for the
Something,
Christmas program or the
yeah.
Thanksgiving feast. If they can carve out those moments, maybe they have a little bit more flexibility now, because a lot of people do work
Work
remotely.
from home, things like that.
So that's a positive for sure that I definitely see. One of the negatives, I would say it's been trending this way a little bit, is we're tending to see a little bit more of divorce, even with these young families,
yeah.
which is so disheartening to me, because I'm like, you're just getting started. And
Yeah.
that's where I'm hopeful that if they could get the resources or support
To get
to
restoration.
work through it and to understand, because when you see these little ones already 2 or 3 years old and their parents are separating, and again, God works through it. He's going to create empathy in them
Yeah.
and compassion, and they're going to be resilient. But that's a lot on a 2 or 3 year old.
Well, it is, and I appreciate you sharing that, because a lot of times we don't see it from the very beginning of, like, we're just asking the facts, and you're
Right,
sharing the
right,
facts.
right.
Parents are separated, and so this desire to fight for their families is so
Right,
valuable.
right.
I love that you're saying so, but I also have seen that too, like the intentionality of dads, where
Yeah.
even when we're like taking a walk or we're at school, more dads are with those baby carriers than ever.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, even now, I remember when my son was a little kid, and we would go to his performances. It was me and like 3 other dads that were there, and so I did notice that there were more fathers at the end of my time at Grace to
Yeah.
see more dads involved in this stuff. So there is
Yes.
value in that.
Yes.
But then it's more like, what do dads do? Like you said, like, how do I?
Right,
I think that's
right.
what. So what are some things you would share with these dads? If there's a dad's like, hey, I want to be a better dad, what would it, from the perspective of their little kid, what would you share with that dad about how to parent differently?
I think it really comes down to, everybody wants to do something big, something great. How do I do this? And it really comes down to being consistent in all the daily little things.
Yeah.
It's not as difficult as we sometimes make it. In my view and in what I've observed, if you start the day with some kind of family ritual, whether it's just you poured the cereal for breakfast and you said, let's have a great day, or what are you excited about today? It
Yeah.
could be that quick.
Yeah.
Then you have a touch point after school. What did y'all do at school today? What
Yeah.
was your favorite part of school? But you connect. Then either eat dinner together and then have a bedtime ritual, as far as take a moment. Just read to
Yeah.
them. It's amazing what that reading does, as far as that creates empathy and compassion. You get connectivity
that's
time
good.
because
Yeah.
you're close to each other. They feel the value because you're focusing on them.
Yeah.
So I've read before where it said, like, just those 9 minutes a day. Do you have 9 minutes? I think you've got 9 minutes. You can
Yeah.
do 9 minutes a day. And if you have more than one child, you can do some of those things together.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to brag on my son-in-law, Lance. He is such a intentional, wonderful father to our grandgirl Cash.
Yeah.
I mean, he starts every day with her.
Yeah.
And he does that breakfast time routine, because then he's going to work all day and he might not see her till 6 o'clock
Yeah,
at night.
yeah.
He values that time. He has a strong relationship with her. When he's home, she is working alongside him. If he's doing yard, and she's only 2, okay?
Yeah.
But when they're doing yard work, she's out there with him.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
he's making muffins or cooking, she's making the pizza with him.
That's awesome.
So he's just taking the moments you already have,
yeah.
and she loves it. It's building confidence in her. She's building that connection. She has as strong of a connection with her dad as she does with her mom, which I love that. And her mom's a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
But she still has that strong connection because he's intentional.
Right.
Yeah.
We are so blessed. And like I say, take that challenge. 9 minutes a day. You
Yeah.
can do it. You can do it.
I like that. 9 minutes a day. I love it. I love it. No, this is good. This is exactly what we wanted to talk about, because I feel like there's a lot of guys, like, it can seem overwhelming.
Yes, yeah.
9 minutes.
And the
That's
simple
awesome.
things. Like
Yeah,
I say, just do
speaking
the
life.
simple daily things.
The breadcrumbs of just the
Yes.
moments. And we're finding value more in the moments of every day, too. So I love that. I love that
Yeah.
you shared it. So, okay, so what were some of the roadblocks when you were starting GEM? Like, what were some of the things that were, because I'm guessing it probably wasn't just like, hey, I'm not going to, there's probably moments of wanting to quit, so walk through some of that.
I felt I had the call clear. The
Okay.
Lord called me very clearly, and I knew I was supposed to move forward, but I had to convince church leadership of that call that I had. And that was
Which is really
difficult.
easy.
Yes.
That
Yes.
was difficult.
There's never tension with church leadership.
Never.
Yeah, never. Now, I was blessed with Joel Walters
Yeah,
as a lead
yeah.
pastor. He caught my vision,
Yeah.
and that was wonderful. But it was difficult as far as it's a shared facility then, right?
Yeah,
there
yeah,
are
yeah.
church ministries and activities going on, and then we're gonna have a big footprint. And
Yeah.
I tried to explain that. We will have a big footprint here. It doesn't have to be a negative. It should really be a positive.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's still going to be a big footprint. So there was a tension in the early days about GEM ministry versus Grace other ministries. But we worked
Yeah.
really hard from the very start to not have an us and them,
Mm-hmm.
because I had worked in other church ministries in that way, and it was very negative. It was very negative.
yeah.
So that was a roadblock, but I felt like we kind of got it out of the way quickly.
Yeah.
So then really the next big roadblock, and it continues on really, just continuing to get good staff.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
because you want high quality staff. I mean, you can have all the computers and bells and whistles for supplies and resources, but if you do not have godly, equipped
Yeah.
staff, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter. Because give me a box and some crayons if
Right.
I've got a wonderful teacher.
Yeah, exactly.
She's going to make magic. So I'm not worried about that. So that's a continuing struggle. The Lord's been faithful. He keeps providing. When I have somebody retiring or stepping out, I mean, we are blessed. We have people who have served in this ministry for 20 years,
Wow.
22 years, 15 years. That's fairly unheard of in early education because
Yeah.
there's a lot of burnout because it is
yeah.
so hands-on and
Yeah.
intense, you know. Like, have you seen a 2-year-old meltdown?
I have. I don't want to see another one. I'm
Yeah.
good.
I know my own meltdowns, and I'm
Yeah.
over 50.
I'm over
so,
exactly, so
There's that too.
you
There's
know,
that too.
You know, so that's good.
So I would say the other thing too, along the lines of staffing, is just when you're a leader, you're going to be in constant conflict resolution mode,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's a wonderful ministry caring environment, but we're in crisis mode quite often, depending on
yeah.
family situations or student behavior. Like COVID was tough.
Yeah.
But the Lord was blessed. We made it through, but we definitely saw effects from that with children and their behavior and development.
No, I love it. So, okay, so that can all seem super overwhelming as a
Yes.
leader, but what would you say to somebody who, man, in their journey has a desire for something like that? What would you say to them who's like, they're on the front side of it, they're trying to figure it out? What's your wisdom to share with them as they're going to start something like that seems overwhelming like that?
Right. I mean, again, the first thing I would say is if you're clear on God's calling, if you've sought Him out, and I mean, I was so clear on it because I couldn't sleep at night until I knew that I gave the answer I was supposed to give.
Yeah.
I basically had to go resign from a job that I'd been working towards and I was given,
Yeah.
and I had to say, I can't come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you need to make a clear plan. Like I did a lot of research so that I could approach church leadership and say,
This is
I
what-
have done
yeah.
all the research. This is what licensing requires. This is what, we need to do to create a program that will have integrity and be respected in the community. You have to do that research, see what's required.
Yeah.
We started out as a 2-day ministry, 2 days a week. And we didn't need to do the licensing standards at that point because we were 2 days a week. But no, we started out with the standards because my theory was always act bigger than you are.
Right,
Act as
right.
big as you want to be. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
So be excellent. Even if you only have 10 kids, I want to be excellent at what we're doing. And
Yeah.
really, we started with 17 children and 3 staff. And 200
Wow.
and 200 children and 33 staff. So the Lord's just blessed it
Right.
year after year.
Yeah.
When you consider that the student body, we lose about half of them every year.
Yeah, they-
'cause
yeah,
they're
that's-
moving on.
yeah, they just age out, yeah.
Yeah. So I would just say, do your research. Get a strong core team around you who you have to, this from
Yeah,
starting Known Legacy yourself. You have to share the vision,
Yeah.
help people catch the vision, and move forward together. And I mean, then we've just taken it a step at a time. We never spent what we did not have. We didn't get into debt to do this program. We only did what we had the funding for.
Right.
Which I think was really helpful because it helped on the church side as well.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
weren't
yeah.
in any way a burden or a drag. No.
Yeah,
We've been able
absolutely.
to actually give back to the church in capital improvements and things like that. So I would just say really do your research. Make sure you have the Lord's calling on you. Get a core team around you that's going to encourage you, walk with you,
Yeah.
help you spread the vision. So I think those are the main things.
I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Excellent,
it.
excellent.
Love it. Good stuff. Well, and I know that as you're kind of going into 25 years, you also mentioned there's something else on the horizon. You've been doing something the last couple of years called Smack Talk.
Yes.
Can you
yes.
share a little bit about that? And so this is focused on women, but I love it because I wanted to bring attention to it
Right.
and the value. So share what Smack Talk means because it sounds like an awesome game, but it really is
Yeah.
more than a game. Share a little bit about that.
So Smack Talk is supporting moms of adult children. And the Lord laid this on my heart probably about 10 years ago. And I used to always joke about it and tell people, I'm going to start a Smack Talk group because I need a support group because I have adult
Yeah,
children,
yeah, yeah.
And I would keep saying this to ladies and they kept saying, do it. So we've been doing it, believe it or not, 8 years. We've been doing it
crazy.
8 years now. We meet once a month, and we just cover a variety of topics. So we always have a speaker to share with us, maybe on finances with adult children,
Yeah.
maybe anxiety and depression in adult children. How can we support them, encourage them, make sure they have resources? We always have time each month to share around our table so that we can connect with other women on this journey.
Yeah.
Once again, to know you're not alone.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
See, when your kids were little, you didn't mind sharing stories about potty training or that kind of thing. But when your kids are older and they're struggling with depression, or they've gotten into debt, or they're dealing with gender identity issues,
Yeah.
sometimes parents feel ashamed.
Very, yeah.
But that's the enemy. That's the enemy, because he's trying to isolate us and make us feel defeated. So we're saying no. And we're saying we're coming together, and we're going to strengthen each other. We're going to give each other resources. Our God's got this. And I have to say, it's been so encouraging. We're on the brink of doing some new things with Smack Talk, which I'm very excited about.
Okay.
So this is, I think, the next thing that the Lord's laying on my heart, saying, Diana, I think this is your next step.
Yeah.
It's going to be very difficult to lay down the mantle from Jem.
Yeah.
And yet, this is the Lord's work.
Right,
And I know He's
right.
going to supply whatever we need to keep this ministry going, because He's using it mightily.
Mm.
But I feel like now He's saying He's going to take my focus in a new direction. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for what God has. And I feel a little bit nervous, kind of like I
Little
did
nervous.
with Jem.
Yeah.
Kind of like I did with Jem. So.
It made me think about one more thing as we're kind of closing up. Was, man, there's a lot of churches that Susie has been the lead of this ministry for 25 years and doesn't know how to let go. What's some wisdom you could give to someone that just, it's at the point you're like,
It's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
What would you share with them?
Number one, if you're in any kind of ministry, every one of us who is in a lead position should always be mentoring somebody who could take our place at any given moment.
good word.
Right?
Yeah.
If you really believe in this ministry that you're doing, you want it to continue. You know it's impactful.
Yeah.
So I think be doing that. I confess I have been passing the baton for about 12 years now. So,
Yeah.
I admit it's been a slow pass, but I have very good communication with the person who might be interested in it.
Yep.
And we talk on a regular basis. And I have asked her, am I frustrating you? Am I frustrating you? And she's like, I don't want it right now.
Right.
I'm not ready
Yeah,
for it.
yeah.
So I think as long as there's that good communication.
Yeah.
But I do think you want to leave well. Like, I want to leave on an up note. I want to be happy and celebrate.
Yeah.
And I want to say, hey, I'm passing the baton to Tammy over here, and I know she's going to do an awesome job, and I am here to cheer you guys on, and I'm excited for what God's going to do next.
That's
so I want to
awesome.
celebrate it. I think if you can celebrate it, and then also let that person know, hey, I'm here as a sounding board, but I can promise you she's going to do different things than I did. She's going to bring a lot more automation into things. That's good.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
that's a bad thing.
No.
So I think do it with joy and thanksgiving for what God's done.
Intentionally, too.
Yes,
Yeah.
intentionally. I think that's so important.
Love it. Fantastic. I can honestly say, like, your energy and your vibe, I'm like, I wouldn't mind going back to preschool.
Exactly.
Do you have a spot for me? I'll just sit in the classroom. Let's
That's why I
go.
had to get her on, man. Just
You
the
know?
energy and love for. I've seen it for years firsthand. Just her desire to love not just kids but the families.
Yep.
And then seeing firsthand those all. But then also starting Smack Talk and be like, we're just going to do it. I love the veracity she has to go. We're just going to start it. I really don't know what's next, but I love that.
Success
So,
is in the hands of the Lord.
It's
Yes.
Obedience
Yeah.
is our calling.
yeah, I love it. Well, I appreciate you being here. And any final thoughts before we jump into our Fast Five?
I think that one of the things I thought about just as impact from parents and dads especially, words matter, right? Words
Yeah.
matter. But make sure your actions are matching those words.
Yes.
Because kids are watching us, right?
Integrity,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, if we're saying, forgive, you should forgive, and then they don't see us model that,
Yeah.
that's going to speak louder.
Yeah.
So I just say, and again, this is the other thing. Ask your kids for forgiveness.
Yeah.
They already know we screwed up. There's nothing wrong with saying,
Fair.
hey, I screwed up on this. I apologize. Let's rework this here.
Yeah.
So because I think when they see us doing that, then they
Yep.
know they can screw up too. They can be forgiven too. It's the time to learn and move
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
So I think that to me is an important one. Moms, dads, especially.
Yeah, no, I love it. Love it.
Love it. Love it.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on, Diana. And
Happy to
as
be here.
as we finish up, we have our Fast Five segment. Love it. I love it. So let me ask you first question. Who do you most admire and why?
Well, I have to say Grandma Ruby Wheeler, because she's the
Okay.
one that introduced me to Jesus, and she's the first one that modeled what following Jesus looked like. And
That's
I
awesome.
didn't grow up in a Christian home, but Grandma had a huge impact on me.
Yeah, that's another story that I would love to share with them, where she came from to lead this, but then, just the similar in our journey and all that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. That's so cool. Number 2, where would you like to go on a vacation?
Italy. I would love to go to
Italy.
Italy. My maiden name's Plutino, so
Yeah, it is.
I've got the Italian vibe.
Oh yeah.
I would love to go to Italy.
That's awesome. Italy. Any specific thing in Italy you want to go see?
I definitely want to go to Sicily because I've got relatives there.
Nice.
So.
Nice. Well, what are you currently reading, whether it's the Bible or another book?
A book that I've been reading, it's called The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. And
Okay.
It's basically historical fiction, and it's during World War II, and it's about the Nazi resistance.
Okay.
I'm all about resistance.
Yes, yes.
That's what I like about her. That's awesome. What's a goal you have for this year?
I really want to write curriculum for Smack Talk.
Okay.
That's a goal I have.
That's
I'm
awesome.
almost afraid to say it because now I'm putting it out
Yeah,
there.
I know,
it's okay.
I know.
It's okay. I like it. I like it. It's needed. I think
Yes,
even as we're talking about, like, it's such a needed ministry that's like this. Even for dads, I'm like, can it be like Shack Talk, like supporting husbands of adult kids? I don't know what the heck, but I just think there's some value in that of like, what do you take that when your kid goes, I'm struggling with this, or I'm
Yes,
depressed. And you're like,
yes.
well, get it together. Like, I don't know what it's
Yeah.
how do you say it? So, okay, well, last one. What is the most impactful piece of advice you've ever been given?
I don't know about ever, but one of the most impactful pieces of advice, there's a title of a book, and it says, if you want to walk on water, you have to get out of the boat. And it's by John Ortberg.
Yeah, I love that
Yes.
book. Love
That
book.
was the book that launched Gem Express.
Wow.
That was the book because I really felt so convicted that God's never called me to be comfortable.
Right.
He's never called me to be comfortable, and he's
Right.
called me to be obedient. And we're never going to learn and grow if we don't risk,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it was thoughtful risk, but it's still risk. And I think maybe we need a little more of that.
Absolutely. I
Be
love the
willing
risk.
to.
We need more risk. Well, Diana, thank you so much for being on today. It was a
Fantastic.
blessing. I love the wisdom, the years of wisdom. And we are so glad to have you on. We'll put in the notes about Smack Talk. So if you're listening and you've got a wife or a sister or anybody who's got adult children, it is a great ministry to have them go to and just get some connection. And just like you said, to know they're not alone.
Right.
So many times we just feel like it's us,
Right.
and it's us against the world. And you have a God who loves you. I
Yes.
love that Smack Talk has been that ministry for people.
Absolutely. It's been fantastic. Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you,
and
guys.
hanging out
Thanks
with
so
us
much.
today.
Again,
It's such a beautiful day.
It is such a beautiful day. Again, check us out at knownlegacy.org. You can see what we're up against. If you want to check out the book, morethanyobook.com.
Yep.
And, man, thank you so much again for listening, for being a part of today. Travis, final thoughts.
If you need information about Gem or about Smack Talk, info@knownlegacy.org would be a great way to get a hold of us. Bill will
Yes.
be able to forward you on to wherever it needs to go. And as always, gentlemen, thank you for checking us out. And ladies, if you're listening in today, thanks for checking us out. And God bless you guys.
Have a great week.
Thanks for listening to the Known Legacy Podcast. We'd love to hear from you, so email us your questions or comments to info@knownlegacy.org.